starting to create an album to go with my Christmas tags. I think I've shown these in another video. My gift tags for my grandchildren, I put their names on it, and I used some graphic 45 paper. And then I made some extra ones for decoration, some smaller tags. And I thought it might be fun to have an album that actually matches the decorations. So I started doing it, and I realized maybe I should show you how it goes together. This will be similar to what I'm teaching at the retreat, and also teaching when I do Pieceful Paper Moments in January. But this is a little preview, and I thought I might tape it while I do it. So I've just taken my covers, and it has a smooth side and a rough side, and I've added construction tape to it. And now I'm going to put an accordion base, because this is going to be a variation of a flag book. And a flag book needs to be attached somewhat, but I am going to add a belly band because this is a little wider. So my smooth sides are on the outside. I have a 12-inch belly band, and actually I'll put the outside on the bottom. And my 12-inch belly band is going to be attached to these mat boards. I have room for 14 pages, 7 on each level. And I decided to make my pages, or my flags, to be 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I will not even have to think about sizing pictures. I can take them right off the press. So I'm adding some tacky glue on top of my double-sided tape, lining this up with the edge of my mat board, and I have about 1/8 of an inch above and below, so I want to try to keep that intact. And it's a little thick, so this is a little awkward, but let's give it a try. So about 1/8 of an inch above or below the top, and 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. A little hard to line it up because it's so fat in my hands. That's a whole 12-inch paper folded. First I score it at 3/4 inch, every 3/4 inch. Make sure I have 15 lines for 7 pictures. That looks pretty straight. Now, if I was going to use a ribbon closure, this would, after I put this on, this would be the time to add my ribbon channel so that I wouldn't lose my ribbon. But I've decided to do a belly band, so I'm not even going to worry about a ribbon on this one. And the Pieceful Paper Moments will show you how to add a channel if you are going to use ribbon. Because these are bigger pictures, I thought the ribbon might just get in the way a bit. So I think I'll use my line here to make sure my covers are on the same length, the line on my board. And just press this down about 1/8 of an inch from the top, right even with the side of the mat board. Check the back, make sure it looks straight. It does, so you know it's where you want it. Burnish it a little bit. And I think I will put some black construction tape on this also, so there's just no danger of this accordion coming apart. So I'm going to put this on about 1/2 inch. I actually edged the the board this time with some construction tape. Now that I do this, it wasn't quite straight. It's off a little, so I'm going to just lift it up a little, make sure it's near the edge. I'm putting this around, but I don't want this to connect, so I'm going to wrap that around to the inside. So when I open this up, I'm going to put this, hopefully, right over the seam. I have a little pucker there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think it's because it doesn't lay flat. If I don't like the looks of it, I'll do it again. I think with the paper and everything, it won't show. Now I'm just taking one more small piece of tape, construction tape, and filling the gap. And as you can see, the construction tape still doesn't have tape on it. And I'm going to be over generous with the construction tape without going over my 1/8 of an inch guideline for paper, because I do not want this to come off while someone's viewing it. So this is going to have designer paper over it, so it'll be okay. Now I'm going to add, so make sure that still bends. It does. Good. Have a little bit of white showing. If I have white, I'll just use some ink afterwards. Let's go do this one too. I'll try to make the top a little smoother this time. Now it does tear well, but I still like to make sure it's straight. I hardly see this tape under anything, it's so thin. But, well, I just realized why it puckers, because it's 1/8 of an inch smaller. This is the first time I've made this particular size book. I didn't think of that because my long skinny ones go right to the very top. So let's see if I can get that straighter. Just make like a little fake edge there. Okay, and then I put a piece of tape to connect those two. Now you notice these little ends can get caught, so be careful of your black ends. Trying to get it straight. There we go. Okay, my base is now made. I'm going to add one more piece of construction tape, and we will begin the book. Now I don't tape everything I do, but I tape, the first time I do something, I like to tape it for my own edification and for yours. So you'll see the mistakes I make, and then you won't do them. Okay. So you can see when this book is open, it's very wide. So that's why I'm thinking of doing a belly band and not doing, let's see. Maybe I didn't do that right. I have to have that a little more flexible. See, you learn from my mistakes. I have to make sure that goes down. It does on that side. It doesn't want to on this side. So I'm going to force it a little bit. And I'm just going to put this on for a moment. There we go. perfect? No, but I think it'll look great when it's done, especially when it's decorated. Now my decoration is going to be very simple. I use the same paper, and for the outside I'm going to use that side of the paper, and for the inside I'm going to use the opposite side. I put some double-sided tape on here. And remember, if you want a ribbon, this is the time to add the ribbon, before it's decorated. So I'm just removing my double-sided tape. Actually, I'm not removing the double-sided tape, I'm removing the double-sided tape cover. Adding some tacky glues to the corners. Make sure those are down well. And then just running a little bit of tacky glue to give me some movability and good adhesion as I place it. I think one side is smoother than the other. And that's this side. So I'm going to make this my cover. And I made my cover sheets 1/8 of an inch smaller than the mat board. And that will allow black to show all around. Now I can decorate it more later, but I want to just get the base done and show you how I do that. And then after Christmas, when I get my Christmas pictures, you'll see the finish. The reason I wanted to show you this flag book is it's only 2 layers, so it's much different. Much different, that didn't sound right. It's different than the tall, skinny ones, which I made 3 equal layers. Now this, I took a 12-inch piece and I cut it in half at 6 inches. My album is 6.5. So because of that, this whole 1/4 inch instead of an 1/8 of an inch around. And I'm going to leave a gap toward the center. Oh, I might have done that wrong. This is the back of this one, okay. Make sure I have it upright. It is a directional paper. So I'm going to leave a gap here, and I might add paper to it later. There we go. So that's the inside of my album. And I'm going to add a pocket to that. I'm going to do the other inside of the album first. That's the outside. This is the inside. Because I've already made like a triangle pocket that can hold some of these tags or journaling or anything else. And I'll show you how I made that. So this is the other inside. This is the back. I need a bigger desk. Seems like I clutter it before I begin. So I'm removing the covers of my double-sided tape. You don't have to use double-sided tape. You can even use a tape runner, whatever you like. The reason I like a double-sided is it helps me remember what is the correct side of something, especially when I'm using 2-sided paper, so I don't make major mistakes in my application. Okay. So, let me check here. Front, front. This is back inside. burnished that a little. We'll worry about this pocket later. Let's put the back cover on. Now my direction will be this way. Now this paper is only, it was not a kit. It was, I got it from Tuesday morning, so it was a pack of this kind of paper. And so I really only have 2 prints. So I'm just trying to utilize the 2 prints as much as possible. In reality, you can make this album with 2 pieces of designer paper, depending on what's going inside. So adding a little bit of adhesive, make sure it has good adherence. And since this one is upright, I'll follow that direction. Here's my back cover. And after I put this pocket on, we'll be ready to add 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 flags. Now this was just a long rectangle. I scored it from here to the corner. I put paper on the back. Let's see, can I put that down? Yes. I put tape on the back rather. So rather than cut it at an angle, it gives more support if I fold over my slant, my score part. I fold it over like that, and then as you put things in and out, it's nice and secure. Now before I adhere it, I find my corner and I just cut the corner off, and at the top I cut the edge off. So when I adhere this to the book, it will, oh, that one ended up on the floor here. When I adhere it to my album, those corners won't show. And I don't know if you can see it much, but I've also distressed it with black soot, my favorite. Okay, so this is about a 1/2 inch in, and it's close to the corner. So I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive, about a finger width. There we go. Now if I did not have the glue on there, I would not be able to reposition that. Okay, now I'll add some tacky glue here. So this is further away than the back, but I don't think anybody will notice it when the album is completed. Okay, so there is the base of my album. This is ready for something in my pockets, and we can figure that out later. But now what I'm going to do is put my flags on it, and I only have 2, so it's going to look a little different. But I'm going to put this upside down toward you, so it's at me. I see a teeny bit of white there, and this is the time to get rid of the white. So I'm just going to use a little bit of distressing, squeegee here, and take a little ink, just go over any white that shows. I did that when I made it, but sometimes it shows a little bit. It is white core paper, and white core paper sometimes when you score it will show the core. So this is upright. Now I have it downright, and I have 2 piles of 7 cards. This is the front of the book. When I open the book, let's see. Yep, when I open the book, I want them to go that way. So they are going to be attached to the front of the mountains. So I've already put a 1/2 inch piece of double-sided tape on. Remember, I'm dealing with 3/4 of an inch, so I have a little bit of leeway. I add some tacky glue or whatever glue you like. And I'm going to place it down to right before the score line. And I left almost 1/8 of an inch there. There. Now I'm going to just bend that hole down, that whole mountain flap down, burnish it again, and take my next piece. They're all exactly the same, so there's no worry of making any mistake. So I'm going to place some on the mountain side, or the outside of the mountain, and after I do 7 that direction, I'll place the other 7 on the back of the mountain fold. Right now they're all on the front of the mountain. Once you have these on and glued securely, it'll be a lot easier. Now I just saw that I put a little bit of glue on here. So I'm just lining it up with the first one. I get a baby wipe. I get glue everywhere, don't I? Okay, burnish it. Now because I've used wet glue, I want to make sure I give it time to set a little bit. So while I'm tearing off the other, I'll just put a clamp there. So I remove my cover, add some tacky, spread it around, go inside to the next mountain and push it down. I burnish it a little. You can see they're all lined up. Just line up the tops and bottoms. Don't worry about this way. That might actually have a little variation. Okay, moving right along. 14 mats does not seem, or flags, whichever you want to call them, does not seem like that much. I tore off some paper here, so I'm just gonna, don't know if it'll show, so I'm just gonna color it with black. So 14 doesn't seem like much, but it takes a while. The good part about that is when you're done putting these 14 on, your book is ready for photos and decoration. Okay, we have 4, I think. We have 4, we need 3 more. Again, since they're all the same size, you don't have to worry too much about where you're putting anything. After I have all of these adhered, I will put weight on this little album, and that will help everything stick securely, since I'm using liquid glue, tacky glue. Now you don't have to use tacky glue, but I'm using really heavy paper and I don't want a chance of, once I get the photos on here, anything falling off. Remember to make sure the tops and the bottom are lined up so it won't go crooked. The other thing I'll mention, and I know I mention it a lot, is if you're using black paper, a Teflon tool for scoring and other things works well because it never leaves a mark on black paper, whereas a traditional scoring tool might. Bone folder. Okay, last page for this direction. And we're going to then repeat it, but instead of the fronts of the mountains, we'll be putting the next 7 photo mats on the back of the mountains. This one has tape on it, so when we get to the back, we're going to have to be really careful and make sure that last one is very well secured and the first one is very well secured. Probably if I was doing this myself, I might put this on and just let it sit, or put it under a book and let it sit for a while. But I'm going to try to finish this up so you can see how the flags go. So I'm just lifting all 7 flags, going to the outside edge this time, and putting this on. There we go. Now let's begin again. So I see a little bit of glue there. So I'm just going to take my baby wipe and wipe it off. These are all on the front of the mountains. So the next ones we're going to put on the back of the mountains. Hoping this is tucked long enough. We shall find out. So again, they're all the same size. So we do it exactly the same way. But I'm going to line these ones up on the bottom, on the back of the mountain fold. Because they're so long, I might just try it. I'm going to stand in that position for a minute here. Let's see. Okay, I'll get my next one ready before I move that big bulldog. So I'm just laying down one mountain fold, well, 2 mountain folds, that's where I moved there. Okay, this one, let's burnish this, make sure it's on there. I'm actually going to take that off and go up just a little bit. You need a gap here, but I want a little teeny gap down there too. You must have air for these to flip well when you're using it like a flag. Okay, so now I'm laying, this is on the front, this one will go to the back. Go right to the score. There we go. Make it straight. When you have it where you want it, is there a gap? Slight gap. Burnish it. I'm going to turn it over and burnish it too. Okay, there's 2. I'm going to put this heavy thing here for a minute while I get my next one ready. This is on the front of the mountain. Put this one on the back of the mountain. Lining it up with the ones in front of it. Still a little gap, so I think we're okay. I guess the worst case scenario, if you lost your gap, you could always trim your mats a little teeny bit. Okay, getting there. I hope when you try this little 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 album, you'll see it really is easy. I'm just rushing a little bit because I'm on video, and I think without the rush, I'd give it a little more time to dry between. Okay, now this could be a book, could be anything a little bit heavy to hold things in position. The first time I used the clamp would not be easy here. But I think weighting it down helps you get it in the right position. Whoop, hit my light. We're almost done. I have 2 more pages. Place it right by the score, line it up with the one before it, and burnish. And our absolutely last page coming up. And remember, this one has a little bit of tape on it. So we want to make sure, I'm actually going to put a little glue right on the tape. So that I know this will get a little tacky before I add it on, and that'll give even more secure adhesion. But last flag, now you don't have to use Christmas paper, but because you only need 2 pieces of 2 or 3 pieces, I guess, of designer paper, you could make this easy. Oh, I'm just going to thumbprint there. You could make this easily from your stash. Now remember, this is on the tape. I want to make sure it's secure. I'm going to open the page before it. Sure I am. And burnish the back. I'm going to close this. Phew, that took longer than I thought it would. Always does. Now, I want this to be very, very secure. So I probably shouldn't do what I'm going to do next. But I'm going to open the flag book and show you how it fans out. And then we'll stop for the day. So when you open it, you can open each page at a time by just moving 2 of these photos, or you can open it and half of your photos will go one direction and half will go the other. Now if you want photos on both sides, and I learned this with doing the little one that we're doing at our workshop, if you want photos to go to both sides, remember you cannot put photos over the mountain folds because they would bend there. So this can be a full 4x6 picture. But this one must stop at this line here, at the top of the mountain. When you flip it over, go to the next page, this could be a full 4x6. I should have a picture in my hand, not a card, but I guess it'll show what I want to show you. But this one can only go to the top of the mountain. So you have to plan some of your pictures a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch smaller. But there's your fun flag book. I hope you like this book as much as I do. I think it's fun. I think it'll be fun that it matches my grandkids' decorations for Christmas, and soon it will have their photos in it too. So last recommendation, I've already said it, but put something heavy. I'm going to get heavier even than my distress block. I'm going to put a nice heavy book here to let it dry. Have fun creating. Have a wonderful Christmas. God bless.